Hello everybody and welcome to today's episode, which is called The Trouble with HDR. I'm going to begin with a quote from Colin Kelly, a colorist who understands a great deal about HDR. He writes, "With the evolution of technologies like HDR, VR, and volumetric video, images are being released from their dim two-dimensional cages, creating new challenges and opportunities for the way we engage and guide the viewer's eye. This is completely uncharted territory, and navigating it will require new ideas and new tools. The current playbook for capturing and mastering compelling images is going to become increasingly irrelevant, leaving those of us who are up to the task to write a new one. Here are some of the key questions we'll need to address." And I'm not going to be reading the entire article, but this is part of it. Presently, the most extensive and high-quality data we have about human visual preference in motion images comes from research and development, which assumes a very low upper limit on the reproduction of color and luminance, corresponding with the physical limitations of projected motion picture film. Today's displays, and even more so tomorrow's, have far greater limits. So we have to figure out what pleases or repels the human eye within this larger canvas. Should we attempt to adapt the lessons of motion imaging's first century, or would we get better results by starting anew? And now I'm going to talk about my own ideas about some of the obstacles to HDR that we're facing in the present day. Just what is the current state of HDR production? Most shows continue to be lit in an SDR environment using the same lighting ratios they've used for the past century. Fewer than 1% of productions are even monitored in HDR, and not infrequently, the very first time anyone even sees the picture in HDR is in the color suite. From there, you can bet it's already a foregone conclusion that the HDR version of the show won't depart radically from the SDR, which is still considered to be the most important delivery format, and stakeholders fear confusing the consumer with an HDR version that is unmistakably superior to the low-con version. Moreover, colorists have been known to compromise the grade in order to mitigate motion artifacts like judder. And lastly, it's no secret that many filmmakers and colorists are either ambivalent or even openly hostile toward HDR, preferring the low-con traditional chemical film look instead. And if by some miracle everything happens to be done correctly, you've got television manufacturers who each deal differently with metadata, some ignoring metadata altogether. Given all these assaults throughout the imaging pipeline, it's a wonder that we're able to enjoy HDR at all. But the sad truth is that most content is really just SDR in an HDR container. What can filmmakers do about all this? Here are 4 suggestions of mine. First of all is to pay attention to lighting and lighting ratios. Don't overdo the use of fill light. Use a an HDR production monitor and monitor the image in PQ 2020. In dark scenes, keep an eye on the noise floor, because the noise is much more, because HDR is much less forgiving in noise than SDR, owing to the high contrast. Also, expose to the right to maximize your use of to capture the most dynamic range from the sensor. When panning, disregard the old 7-second rule, which was developed for 2K 48-nit theatrical presentation. No less than 20 seconds is required to pan from one edge of the frame to the other with today's high brightness, high resolution, high contrast displays. Also, ignore those who say that you have to really be careful with having practicals in a scene. It's really exciting to see in someone's home, to see street lamps on the street. Viewers today are intelligent enough not to become distracted by bright lights that are in the scene while the actor is talking or performing some action. Also, lastly, while in general it's a good idea to avoid clipping your highlights, once in a while, for creative or aesthetic reasons, you may want to clip some of your highlights. So again, this is a matter of choice. It's not something that's written in stone. Anyway, those are some of my suggestions. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please consider subscribing to see more episodes like this. Bye for now.